Well, our next guest this morning is Radio Liberty journalist Rostyslav Khotyn. Rostyslav, a pleasure to see you, as always. Well, big news. We've been waiting for this news for almost 6 months. What are your emotions right now, and what emotions are your colleagues feeling as well?
Yeah, since last October, the thing was ongoing for quite a long time. It's been over-delayed by many, many months. Ukraine badly needed this aid since last autumn because of lack of ammunition and new weapon system, air defense systems. Ukrainian troops have been on retreat in the key areas of Donetsk region in the east. Ukrainians lost Avdiivka, other settlements and villages around it in the east. So Russians had upper hand on the battlefield in eastern Ukraine. So at last, the House of Representatives, after quarrels and delays for 6 months, they finally passed this resolution quite confidently, I must say. 311 in favor. Of course, there were votes of some right-wing Republicans. More than 100 Republicans voted against it, 112 to be precise. But nevertheless, the House confidently passed this resolution. So Ukraine will get $61 billion of military aid and financial aid. Ukrainian Prime Minister said that up to 50 billion will be spent on military aid for Ukraine, including arms and ammunition, but also new defense systems, missile systems, and other weaponries. And also, Ukraine will get more training for its troops and more Western instructors working with Ukrainian troops, training them. But also, there will be financial aid to Ukrainian budget. And also some these tranches of US aid will be kind of like forgivable loans, that it will be forgiven in the future, these kind of credits or loans to Ukrainian budget, but the Ukrainian budget also needs money. So
that's right. But speaking of the budget, I mean, there's about $8 billion allocated for the Ukrainian budget.
Yes.
Is that just a drop in the bucket for the Ukrainian budget, though?
It's not too much, of course, but combining with aid from the European Union, it's a significant amount because EU has pledged 50 billion euros. So it's okay. I mean, financially, Ukrainians now will be okay. The thing is now when this aid will be finally approved by the Senate, the upper chamber of US Congress, and the indications are from Chuck Schumer, the Democratic leader of the Senate, that it will be the session will be held on Tuesday, the 23rd of April. So Senate might pass this bill quickly in 2 days. And
that's right. A lot of us, a lot of us are celebrating too soon. A lot of people are saying people forget that this still has to get through the Senate.
Yeah. The Senate should approve, hopefully, on Tuesday, the 23rd of April, and then President Biden, without delay, will sign it quickly into effect. But still, nevertheless, there is a kind of when the first aid will reach Ukraine, that's the issue. It might take weeks, it might take months. So the Ukraine desperately needs aid now. Not to give Russia this window of opportunities, you know. It's interesting to watch a Russian reaction as well. Russia strongly criticizes US aid, saying that America will enrich itself and that Ukraine will lose anyway. Something like that. The reaction was along this line from Moscow, but it's of course it's Moscow stance. But nevertheless, Ukrainians hailed this, praised this aid as significant and crucial. President Zelensky even said, "Thank you, America." And the other Ukrainian leaders and the military personnel also were expressed happiness and thanks to for America for its leadership. And also, it's also important to notice that the American aid will also reach Israel, humanitarian aid for Gaza, and $2 billion for Taiwan. Also, this other part of this big 95 billion American aid package. Also, one more important thing that the Congress, the House of Representatives, paved way to allocating of the frozen Russian assets, financial assets of Russian central bank, also to Ukraine through two funds. Two funds will be opened to assist Ukraine with financial aid using frozen Russian assets in the West.
That's right, and potentially, how much money could that be? Should these assets be used, at least the interest on those assets, because they're also talking about selling off the assets completely. But if we talk about just the interest on the assets, how much potentially can that be? Do you know the numbers?
We don't know the precise sum, but we know that it's billions and billions of dollars. That's what the expectations are, because Russia had held a lot of assets abroad, especially Russian central bank and other Russian entities who are sanctioned by the United States and other Western allies. So it's kind of billions and billions of dollars. Yes, that's for sure.
All right. And as speaking of Israel, one curious thing that I found in the bill to Israel, you mentioned that there is money allocated for humanitarian assistance, but there is a caveat. The UNRWA is banned, so none of that funding can go to UNRWA. What's your opinion on that?
We know that the whole kind of Israeli package consists of $26 billion. Israel has already thanked the United States and expressed gratitude. Israeli leadership expressed gratitude. Out of this $26 billion, about $9 billion will go for humanitarian aid to Gaza. This supplies by sea, by air, and also by trucks on the land. So it's kind of total Israeli package 26, including $9 billion for Gaza. But also other hotspots were mentioned by the House of Representatives, like Haiti, where the civil war and crisis is ongoing, and also Sudan with its civil war as well. So American congressmen, they haven't forgotten other hotspots, problematic spots on Earth as well.
All right, and now let's go back to the Ukraine bill. I mean, in terms of morale for the soldiers and for the people fighting on the front lines, how much of an effect do you think that this will have on morale?
One Ukrainian serviceman on the front line said that, of course, it will be us who will be fighting, continue to fight, but now we will have at least means to fight, to defend Ukraine. That's kind of the reaction which nicely conveys the mood among Ukrainian soldiers. And Ukraine badly needs now, first of all, the urgent need is in artillery shells. Ukraine is losing significantly because of lack of artillery shells, plus missiles, Patriot system, and other air defense systems. That's where Ukrainian needs are prime, kind of the urgent needs in artillery shells and air defense system and missiles for Ukrainian air defense system. But nevertheless, Ukraine manages to strike back to Russia. And over this weekend, more than 50 Ukrainian drones reach 7 or 8 Russian regions, including Ryazan in central Russia, Smolensk near Belarusian border, Kursk, Belgorod, and other regions. But the difference is that Ukraine strikes Russian military targets or industrial targets, but Russia strikes back with hitting Ukrainian civilian infrastructure, energy infrastructure, and also simply apartments blocks with civilian population.
Yep, Russia definitely increasing the pressure. I wonder how worried you are that Russia will increase this pressure even more, because as we mentioned, this money and this ammunition isn't going to arrive instantly. It's still going to take a while. It still has to pass the Senate. It still has to be signed by President Joe Biden. And then the money has to actually get there. And so does the ammunition. So do the supplies. How much time do we have, and how urgent is the need?
Yeah, the lion's share of this military part of this package, of this financial package, goes to American producers or to Pentagon, which has stockpiles of arms and ammunition designed for Ukraine, reserved for Ukraine. So it might take weeks, it might take months, but Ukraine needs this military aid now. And also the good thing is that hopefully at the early June, the first artillery shells purchased with Czech initiative by Czech President Petr Pavel will arrive to Ukraine. The initial plan was 800,000 artillery shells, but now Czechs have collected more or less signed contracts for up to 1 million artillery shells for Ukraine. This European initiative plus American aid, that what will make Ukraine more confident and more resilient and more kind of forward-looking with the perspective of even new counter-offensive by Ukrainian armed forces in the east and in the south.
All right. So too early to celebrate, but there is a lot of hope. Hope is back. Rostyslav Khotyn, always a pleasure speaking with you. Thanks so much for joining us this morning.
Thank you.